Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today on this video, I would like to show you a video about heating appliances and how they are against non-heating appliances. And also to tell you about, which ones are the most type of fire hazards. So, let's start off with this heater. Now, we all know that heaters can be fire hazards, especially because they create heat. Because it gets hot over here, and anything soft that touches it, such as the carpet, if it falls forward like this and stuff like that, or maybe like it's too close to a tree, Christmas tree that is, or wood, other soft things and all that. And obviously, with heat, something to burn, and the air that's inside your house, that's what causes a fire from heating stuff such as a heater. Another thing about this video is that this is not just about heating appliances being fire hazards. The fact is that any appliance can actually be a fire hazard, whether it's making heat or no heat at all. And it doesn't matter, if the appliance has exposed wires, such as, the heater right here, because this is an antique. Well, I think that's the coils, or whatever you call them. And, those heat up, and there's a fan underneath here that blows the hot air from the coils to out here to bring the hot air. But even newer heaters can still be dangerous. They could be just as dangerous as the old ones, because when you put heated stuff, like I just said a while ago, on things that are soft, such as paper towels, cloth, or whatsoever, those are the things that could actually catch on fire. But what actually causes fires from all electronics, even if they're not heating devices, is the cord. Because when the cord, such as on this toaster right here, if there's a tear in your cord, or maybe the prongs on your plug are loose, or maybe wires are exposed, what happens is that when wires are exposed, the wiring, can't keep the electricity balanced. And when that happens, it'll spark, and when the spark happens, when the spark can ignite something that's, flammable, even if it's not a heating device. For example, say a vacuum cleaner, such as the ones I have in my collection over here. Even my vacuum cleaners, they can heat up too, but that's because they have motors, and motors heat up. But that's okay. Those ones are designed to take heat because they have cooling fans on their motors to prevent them from overheating and all that. But still, but it doesn't mean they could catch on fire like that. No. They can't catch on fire because their motors are all covered up too, so they're all sealed up. But vacuums can be fire hazards too because of their cords. If their cords are damaged, or something like that, then they spark if you plug them in when they're damaged like that, and then it's in flames. So it's not just heating appliances that create fires. And some people think that's only from heating appliances. But what some people don't understand, though, is that it's not just heating stuff that actually causes a fire. It's also by the condition of their cords. Because the cord is, outside of the device. It's like this toaster, for example. The wiring is all the way from here and goes all the way into the toaster. So the wires inside this toaster, you can see, sorry if it's a little dark, but there we go. Right here, there are coil wires here, which are just metal wires pretty much. And, But even something like this can be hazardous too. Like toasters could be just as dangerous as heaters can. Same with irons too, because, they're heating devices. But even though with irons, the iron does not have any wires exposed, even though this cord's in good shape on this vintage one. But I mean like by coil wires, like there's none of them showing on the iron. But still, even irons that are completely sealed up can still be fire hazards. So you have to keep them away from things that are soft and all that. Now with the toaster, for example, also like the toaster, we all know that we burn our food once in a while, such as bread or waffles or whatever you put in your toaster. And also, when that happens, when the toaster heats up, we all know that the coil wires turn red. That means heat is going through it. And electricity is going through it too, that is. Because electricity is what makes the heat. And so, and if heaven forbid, like your toaster is burning the food, this will catch on fire because, one, the toaster makes heat, and the food, like the toaster bagel, is a thing that is to burn in this thing. And there's air exposed over here. So with all three things like that, it makes a fire because you need those three things: heat, something to burn, and air in order to make a fire. So it doesn't always have to be, just a heating device that makes a fire. It can be any appliance. Any appliances can start fires. Ones that have electrical cords, lamps or vacuums, blenders, stuff like anything like that. They all can be fire hazards, but it's mostly because of their cords. So even if they're not heating devices, that doesn't mean it'll never catch on fire. No, because, if you're being careless, like you're just messing around with the cord, such as like stepping on it or like pulling on it when you unplug it, such as like pulling like this out of the outlet, you're actually damaging the cord. So you can't do that. And it doesn't matter what year your appliance is from, whether it's brand new or a couple of years old or maybe like 50 years old. Just because something, was, made like this, such as like this heater and this, iron or this toaster, it doesn't matter because new things are not always going to be better than newer stuff because, like, the point is that any appliance can be dangerous if you misuse it, whether it's a heating device, cleaning device, or maybe just a kitchen appliance. It doesn't matter, because that's just how, machines, malfunction if you don't use it properly. And then guess what? It's actually human error. It's not how the machine is made. It's how we take care of these things. So keep in mind about that you can't always just be aware of heat and all that, but you also got to be aware of the condition of your cords and your plugs. Because, like I said, because if the wiring is not properly, secured, or like if the coating is damaged on the cord, then it'll spark, and worst of all, you can even get yourself electrocuted if you touch it when the appliance is actually plugged in. So, so remember, make sure you always, check your cords and make sure that they're not damaged. And when it comes to heating devices, for example, never ever cover them up with anything when they're heated up, such as like, paper towels or like, or bath towels or like dust covers, unless if you're not using them. So like if they're actually completely cold, cool down. If they're cold, then, and they're not plugged in, then you can cover them up just so they don't get dusty. Okay, you can do that. But if they're actually hot and you just finished using these things, you have to let them cool down before you actually cover them up when they're not being in use. Because even keeping them off for like a minute or so, the heat is still big enough to still strong enough to actually, ignite something. So keep in mind about that too. So you don't want to mess around with any appliance that you have. So be sure to take care of your stuff properly, and be sure to follow my advice that I've made on this video, because this is very important stuff. Because, it doesn't matter. Any appliance can be fire hazard, no matter what. No matter how well they're built. And even though people say appliances these days are better than the ones back then, but that's actually not true. Some of these things are actually made better back then because they weren't fragile in those days. But just like the newer things, though, even they can be fire hazards too, just like the new appliances. So, but even new things, compared to old stuff, they can still be just as bad. Even if they have more protection or detail or features on them, it still doesn't make a difference, because it's not going to actually prevent, a fire 100%. It still could actually happen. Even like brand new toasters, for example, even though this one's an antique, but even brand new toasters can be just as bad as the old ones, because of the exposed air and all that stuff, So, you just gotta be aware of how to use these correctly. That's all. And if you use them correctly, then you're okay. And, you'll be safe and no fires. That's all you have to worry about, is the condition of your appliances, and just keep things away from heated stuff. So, like, the same thing like with a stove. Like a stove, never ever place anything on it except for like you can store your teapot on there, or like anything that's designed to be on top of a stovetop, such as metal stuff, like, or maybe even like your spatula holder and all that stuff, or whatever you call it. But things like paper towels or soft stuff, and don't put any other appliance near it either. Because even a stove is a really big fire hazard too. They can actually be worse than heaters. Especially because, there's no protection on the stove, because the whole top is actually exposed. And, even little things that touch it, and when it's heated up, could start a fire if, it's on there long enough, that is, to actually make it ignite. Depending on what the material is, that is. And what kind of stove you have, too. Whether it's gas or electric. Well, I hope this video was very helpful, and I hope that everyone enjoyed this video, and I hope that this was very helpful to everyone. So please keep in mind, though, about what I said, and always take care of your stuff and be aware of its condition before you use it for anything at all that you do with them. So don't forget to like and subscribe on my YouTube channel, and be sure to have polite comments, please. And thank you for watching, and have a good day.